Hi, Jim Stanley here with SKF, bringing you another SKF Tech Tip. In this video, Joe Esmore and I will show you how to use the TKSA 41 wireless laser shaft alignment system from SKF. So let's take a look inside the box of the TKSA 41 and see what comes with it.
And we're going to go ahead and walk through what comes in the box of a TKSA 41. First thing, if you open the box, you'll notice that everything you need to do an alignment with the TKSA 41 is going to be included in the box. And the box is pretty rugged. You can see it has compartments for everything. First thing, we've got our display unit. It's very rugged. It is IP65, so it's semi-waterproof. You definitely don't want to submerge it, so it's a pretty rugged little unit. And we'll get into a lot of the different features of the unit when we actually go through a little later on and actually walk through an alignment. You've got your laser detector heads and your brackets included in the box, along with your chains to go ahead and affix the lasers to both your movable and your stationary machine. You have a tape measure to take your measurements when you do your alignment. You also have a charger. The way the TKSA 41 works, it's rechargeable. It's got about an 8 to 12 hour battery life. It comes with a set of USB to micro USB connectors that actually you plug into the back for your 110 volt charger. Then you can see you have the USB connectors from the charger that go to the laser units via a micro USB connector. So that's how the unit is charged. One thing I do want to caution you about, the charger, you want to make sure you don't lose this, and you can't just use any charger with it. So you want to make sure you use the charger that comes with it. You don't want to just go get one at a store or something and plug it in, because it will damage the unit. So you don't want to lose that. The other part of it, if you look, each unit comes with a quick start guide, and it also comes with a calibration certificate. And these units are calibrated once every 2 years, and then they come with a certificate. One other thing, real quick, there's also extension rods that comes with it. So this is a very, very versatile unit. You can actually use extension rods on your brackets to go ahead, and if you need to get over a larger coupling, there's also chain extensions. So this will basically accommodate any alignment job up to 13 feet between the display units, and then of course various different shaft diameters.
Okay, so Joe and I have everything laid out here on the counter to do an alignment on the SKF test rig with the TKSA 41. Before we start, I just wanted to show you the display unit for the TKSA 41. Right before we power it on the back of the unit, we have the charging port and 2 USB ports to charge the laser units individually. There's also a micro USB port here on the right side. That is only for service, so it's non-functioning for any of the alignments that you're going to do. So this is the TKSA 41 display unit. Just like the TKSA 31 display unit you'll see in another video, right? This is, we're going to go ahead and use the power button here on the bottom edge to power that unit on. It'll take just a second here. The display units between the 31 and the 41, this 41 can actually take a photograph and is wireless. The 31 is not wireless. The 2 USB ports on the back of the device actually power the laser units. So here it's turning on. So there is the home screen. But you can also just stand this display up on its other end, and the screen will rotate and display for you. So I'm going to bring this unit back around, and we'll go from there. Also, one point of note on charging. You have to have the micro USB plugged into the laser unit, the USB plugged into the back of the display, and then this display plugged in and powered on for those units to charge. Coming around left to right, right across the top of the screen here, new alignment is currently grayed out because we don't have the laser units turned on and connected to this display unit. So when we do, you'll see this turns blue. QR code reader, of course, if your piece of equipment has a QR code assigned to it, and all the details of that machine are stored in that QR code, you can actually scan the QR code and import your equipment. Machinery library here on the top right corner, and across the bottom, reports, settings, and tutorial. Right, so we'll come back up here. QR code, I've already explained that. Machine library. The machinery library is made up of all the machines you have aligned and have stored over here in the reports. Right, this is just a list of equipment you have aligned with this TKSA 41 in the past, right? So that's what this is. So if we click on any one of these, let me come down here to this one that I've done here. Click into this, hit view, right? So I've highlighted that line. I'm going to go ahead and click here to view it. And so this is saying this was done back on December 5th of 2020. You'll notice I don't have a picture in here. I didn't have anything with a QR code. But right down here on the bottom right, I could start a new alignment on this piece of equipment from this screen here. But I'm not going to. I'm going to back out of this. To get back out to the home screen, hit SKF here in the top left-hand corner and hit quit. Now I can start a new alignment in the machinery library, or once this icon is blue, right? Currently this icon doesn't do anything because the laser units are not connected to it. So currently I cannot start a new alignment there. Reports down here on the bottom left. These are the alignment reports that have been done with this job. There's only 4, or you could scroll up or down, right? If I selected this one here, you'll notice down here on the bottom, you can view it, you can edit it, you can delete it. If I were to put a USB stick into the back of this device, right back here in either one of the USB ports on the back of the device, I could export this report as well. So I don't have a USB stick in the back, so I'm not going to export it, but I'm going to go ahead and hit SKF and hit quit. All right, now settings. This is where we'll spend a little bit of time, right? So these are the 8 function buttons in the settings section. Right here are users. Here's myself and Joe Esmore. You can have as many users in here as you want. I'm going to go ahead and click out of this. There we go. Okay, so measurement settings. Let's go ahead and click into this. Sawfoot check I currently have on. You can turn that off, or you can prompt it to ask you, right, instead of on. When it's on, it's automatically going to send you to the sawfoot check. I prefer that than asking. Verify alignment I also have on, but you could also have it prompt you to ask you versus to automatically put you through the verify alignment. I like to leave both of those on. Automatic measuring. If I turn that on, when I get the laser units to their position to take a reading, right, when I stop moving the laser units, they will count down 3, 2, 1 and take that measurement for me, right? So it'll automatically take the measurement for me instead of me hitting the blue next arrow on the screen. I typically leave that off, and I'll show you in the alignment, you'll see the next arrow. Now free measurement, if you turn free measurement on, this unit only requires you to move the laser units 90 degrees to get an accurate alignment. Free measurement allows me to start that 90-degree path at any position. I currently leave that off. I do a traditional 9, 12, and 3 alignment. So that's everything in the measurement settings. So I'm going to go ahead and come back out of there. Display unit info. Click on that. That is the info about this display unit, right? It's giving you the operating system version, serial number, battery charge, all that kind of information. Measuring unit info. Currently, we do not have the measuring units powered on, but if we did, this is where you would find their firmware version, their serial numbers, their temperatures, their rotation angle, all that kind of stuff, right? When you're brand new out of the box, this is what you're going to do, right? You're going to come into this position here, right? This measuring unit info. You're going to click in this, and then you're going to down here say find measuring units, and then power those units on, and their information will pop up. As a matter of fact, I'm going to do that right now. That way I can just show you. I've got the units laying on the counter here. You'll see them pop up there on the screen. There's our movable side. There's our stationary side, right? That's the serial numbers for our lasers. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK. So now these are connected. You'll see their information pop up on the screen here in a second. There we go, right? So there is our laser unit. So we'll come back out of there. So we've already got those attached, and I'll show you what that changed out on the main screen here in a moment. Language, right? It's preset to English, but you can select any of these languages. Units of measure. Currently, I'm in the US, right? So I'm in English versus metric, but you could switch this back and forth depending on your preference. So I'm going to close that. Date and clock, it is currently 12:29 p.m. on February 28th. You can have a 12 or 24-hour clock, and then you've got a couple options, right? I do day, month, year, but you can also do month, day, year, or year, month, day, right? So you've got a couple options on how you can display your calendar. And then last but not least, general settings. Let me come back out of there. All right, so screen beeps. You can hear the screen beeping as I'm touching it. I currently have that on. Confirm delete, I definitely leave confirm delete on, because if you turn that off and you accidentally delete a report back in the report screen, or you delete a piece of equipment out of the machinery library, if you don't confirm delete and you hit the trash can, that report is gone and there's no recovering it. So I always leave confirm delete on. S&M readings on the screen, you can turn this on or off. I typically leave it off. And then database, that's for service. So I'm going to go ahead and come back out of here. Now down here on the bottom of the screen is this display brightness. I have it currently turned all the way up to maximum brightness. Now this will affect your battery life, right? The brighter the screen, the more battery it's going to consume. But you can literally just sit here and turn this screen down to the level of brightness that you need, and you'll get an extended battery life out of that, right? So I'm going to go ahead for filming here. I'm leaving this thing all the way back up to the highest setting. And that is everything in settings. So let me come back out of here. Now you'll notice something different, right? Right here, new alignment. Because I powered those units on and I found them in settings, right? And I found them and connected them via Bluetooth, you'll see up here also across the top of the screen, that battery is the display unit, 12:31 p.m. And there is the battery for the stationary measuring unit and the battery for the movable measuring unit. So that gives you all that information right here. Also, if you touch that part of the screen, right, if you just touch this, it'll bring up your unit information right there on the screen. Not many people know that. So it shows you your battery level and your angle of rotation, all that kind of information. So let me close back out of there. All right, so that was settings. And so right now we could actually start a new alignment right here just by clicking the new alignment. So one more box down here on the bottom right, tutorial. This is nothing more than the instruction booklet for the TKSA 31 and 41 because they're so identical. It's one set of instructions for both of these. And you can just tap and click through, right, all the different information, page through all the different information, and showing you how the setup and the full complete instruction book for the TKSA 31 and 41. I prefer to print this thing out or download it as a PDF. You can download that from the SKF shelf. So you want to get out of this thing, you'll notice I touched the side screen over here. This back arrow right here, right, you can page down this way. You can also go to table of contents, right? And then also to get out of this, you just hit this back arrow right here to get out of that tutorial. Before we dive into Joe's portion of this video, I had the laser heads off of the brackets right here currently. When we go to Joe's video, you're gonna see that the laser heads are already mounted on there. How these laser heads mount, right? Here's the stationary laser. Here's the movable laser. On this rig right here, the black pillar represents the stationary. This would typically be your pump, your blower, what have you. And the movable, this silver pillar here is representing the motor. So the movable side is typically the motor side. You'll notice that right on the screen, you'll see a red line, right? And on this movable target here, you'll see a red line here as well. That's where we want to actually adjust the lasers to, the laser beams to, when we actually mount these units to the bar and power them on. So you'll notice there's an adjustment knob on both sides of this laser head as well as the movable laser head. You back those off and they simply, this is the stationary side, they simply slide down over top of these bars. Right, you just feed them through like so. You're going to have to adjust these, right, up higher or lower to get over the coupling. So I'll put those midway up like that, right, and just snug those down, hand tight. Now we'll take our movable target, slide that down over here, get them just visually close. Once we power these units on, you'll see how we need to adjust it because the stationary is going to shoot a laser line over here, the movable is going to shoot a laser line over here, and we can adjust these up or down to accommodate for that, right? So you'll also notice here on the screen, the top left alignment tab is grayed out. The reason it is currently grayed out is because these laser heads are not powered on yet. So I'm going to go ahead and power these on. I'm going to move this camera around so you can see the laser beam. But as I power these on, you'll notice over here on this screen that this gray box, once these units connect, you'll see it up here on the top right of the display. You'll see these units pop up. You'll see the Bluetooth pop up and connect. And then this will become blue. So let me go ahead and power on the movable side. Just touch it. Literally 1 second and let it go. All right. I am really close, right? That's not bad. Let me move this camera around here and I will show you where I ended up being on the movable target right here. There we go. And I'm going to move the stationary target laser head slightly down to be in line with that red line. You can see the red line right here, right? So I'm just going to move this down, and when we get on it, like that right there, I'm going to go ahead and snug that up. And you'll notice that I am just off of that line as well. But what I'm going to do, let me zoom out again here real quick, is this knob right here on top of the movable laser. If you turn this knob and watch that line, right, watch the line on the opposing laser head, you have some adjustment. You can adjust up and down slightly, right, to get where you need to be. So now you saw what I was doing as far as turning this adjustment knob right here on the top, and maybe a half turn to get you up or down where you want to be, but it's not a full turn. All right, so you can clearly see right now I'm off my line, so I'm going to zoom in on that target. You can see where the red line is at, right? Just below the laser line currently. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust that down just like that, right? And the white line, if you'll notice this, I'm not sure how well this is going to come up on the camera, but when you're on the white lines, they don't necessarily glow as well as that red line does. When you get that laser beam on that red line, it really, really glows. Okay, so there we are. Those are set. All right, now you'll notice on our screen, right back over here on our screen, the new alignment is ready to go. You'll see the power level for the stationary and movable heads. They're connected, full of power, and you'll see that the display here has quite a bit of power in it as well.
And as you can see, Jim has the display unit turned on, and I'm going to go ahead and mount my my lasers and my brackets and kind of walk you through that whole process. So the first thing you can see, we have our demo rig, and our movable machine on this demo rig is going to be our silver post. Our stationary machine on our demo rig is going to be our black post. So as an example, say this was a motor pump, you know, the motor would be the silver post, the pump would be the black post, so we're aligning the motor to the pump. So with that, I'll go ahead, and if you look at the brackets and the lasers, they're marked as an S for the stationary machine, and M for the movable machine. So again, all the stuff with these TKSA shaft alignment lasers is, we try to make this as simple as possible. Everything's marked. When we go through all the functionality of using the display unit, it's pretty hard to get messed up if you just follow the screen, and if you do something wrong, it's going to let you know. So with that, we'll go ahead and get these brackets mounted. So if we look at our brackets, okay, we have a bracket. I've already, I'm going to go ahead and take this chain out, but if we look at the bracket, you can see we have an S for stationary machine. So again, this is going to go on our stationary side on this demo rig. You can also see that we have two different slots here. So we have this little post that slides in. If I was doing a large shaft, okay, I would go ahead and I would put it on this outboard post for a bigger shaft. Since we got a small shaft here, I'm going to go ahead and put this inboard to accommodate the smaller shaft. Then I'm going to go ahead and I have to get this. I'm just going to kind of hold this here and use gravity to help me. And the same thing I'm going to slide this in the inboard position here. And then if you look, okay, you can see that I have a post here that I'm going to slide this chain over until I get it as tight as I can. Go ahead and slide it over the chain over the post, okay? And then I have this thumb screw on the side here, on the other side, that I can go ahead and tighten up so I can get this mounted on the shaft nice and tight. The other part of it is all of the units come with a little rod, and if you look in the sides of the thumb screws, we have little holes for the rod, so that enables us to go ahead and get this nice and tight. So we make sure it's not going to move around on us. And again, as I always mention with any of these units, I'll probably mention this a couple more times, we do not, under any circumstances, when we start to do alignment, we don't want to move anything with these brackets. We don't want to move the shaft with the brackets.
I was just noticing that when you were showing, they really can't see the rod. They can't see this hole.
Okay,
so
very good.
These holes in the OD side, the side face of this nut, is what he's inserting that rod into.
Yep.
So that's how he's tightening it. He's using that as basically a little torque bar to finish tightening these this chain up.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Yep. So we're going to go ahead and repeat that same process for the movable machine in this case. Okay. Again, same thing. We've got the little, I'm just going to turn this kind of upside down to take advantage of gravity here to slide this internally to the inside. Then we bring it up and we just pull it as tight as we can over the post. And then I'm just going to try to get these kind of spaced out about the same. And get them lined up as close as I can. It looks pretty good. Again, I'm taking my bar again, and you can't see this on the other side, but Jim already showed it to you. And I'm going to go ahead and get this thumb screw nice and tight with my little bar or rod here. All right, we got them on. So now we're ready to go ahead and turn these on. Gets it up. Yep.
Both batteries are displayed, so we are connected to the units.
Yeah, and as you can see on the display unit, now that where it says new alignment, that turned blue. So that tells us we're ready to go.
We're going to go ahead and say what, new alignment, Joe?
New alignment, yep.
So we're going to click on a new alignment. And this
Right.
should be where you're at.
Yep.
So he's got stationary and movable lasers mounted and on,
Yep.
and close to being aligned parallel
Yep,
there.
yep.
That's
Everything's
good.
looking good.
All right, so go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to take some basic measurements here. So as you can see from the display unit, it has A, D, B, and C, where we want to take some basic measurements with our tape measure here. So the first measurement we want to take is the distance between the two lasers. And if you look at the two lasers, the way they're, they have a little, where they're put together, you can see the centers of them. So it's pretty easy to go ahead and get a measurement off that. And that is 6 3/4 inches. That's and Jim's going ahead and putting that in.
Our
Yeah.
fingers are a little large for the string.
Yep.
6.75.
Yep. And then the second measurement, it's once the D measurement, is going to be from the center of the coupling to the center of the chain on the movable machine, and that is 3 1/4 inches.
Okay.
Then the third measurement, the B dimension, is going to be the distance between the center of the chain on the movable machine and the front foot of the movable machine. And that is exactly 2 inches. And then the final measurement, since we've already measured this before, is 3 1/4 inches between the front and back foot of the movable machine. So as you can see, everything Jim is entering, after he enters everything on that screen, there's a little blue arrow on the right-hand side. So just to get to the next.
Yeah, if I X, can I come to
Yep.
back out to that? Yeah, so as we're inputting the measurements,
Yeah.
this little arrow right here, I should have mentioned that, was lit up, right?
Yeah.
So now we've got all our dimensions in right here,
Yeah,
right? So our blue arrow's right here on the screen, right? So as I input A dimension, I hit go, D dimension go, B dimension go, and C dimension, and the blue arrow. So we've got all our dimensions in. We go ahead and hit to the next screen.
Right. So you can see the next thing that's going to come up is going to be the tolerance range. So basically, the faster the piece of equipment runs, the more critical or the more tighter the tolerances are going to be for shaft alignment. So you can see we have a lot of different ranges built right into the unit. These are very conservative alignment ranges. So we also have a place down at the bottom if you want to put in custom tolerances. Say you have a specific piece of equipment and the manufacturer is recommending, because it's it's maybe a little bit of an unusual piece of equipment, that the tolerance is a little bit different. You can go ahead and put custom tolerances in. But if you don't have them, if you go ahead and use the ranges based on the speeds, those are going to be very, very conservative, and you're not going to have any issues from misalignment as long as you fall within that range. So, a lot of equipment runs at 1800 RPM, so, we'll just say we'll go with range 1 on this, which is 0 to 1000. Okay.
Right. And you'll notice right here on the bottom right of the screen, you'll see that we have selected RPM in range 1. So that little box will pop up there. Joe, before we move to the next step, real quick, this is a very nice, of course it's SKF brand, but a very nice box of shims. You are going to need a variety of shims in a multitude of different thicknesses. So it's important to have all of these things ready to go before you start this alignment. Make sure that the laser units are charged and the display unit is charged before you ever attempt any of this, right? Make sure that they are charged and ready to go. And also a box of shims, if not a box of shims like this, a variety of different shim thicknesses. You can't have enough shims, basically.
Exactly. And as Jim said, these are stainless steel shims, so that's usually what most people use. And again, they're in a lot of different sizes, so they're very easy to use. You're ready to go. All right. So now we've got our we've taken all our measurements, and now we're ready to go and start doing our alignment.
Go ahead and hit next.
We're going to go ahead and hit the next, the right blue arrow key. Now the first thing it's going to do now. Both these lasers have internal gyroscopes built into them, and what this is going to sense also, if these aren't aligned properly, you'll see it shows the basically that's coupling backlash, or the lasers aren't positioned properly to go in, and you can see it's reading out with the degrees where we are off of 12 o'clock.
Yeah, the red measurement.
But anyway, what I'm going to do is I think I need to move one of these a little bit.
Slightly. Let's take a look. Yeah, that I would probably move the movable one back just a hair.
All right.
That looks good.
Okay.
And you'll notice now that alarm basically is gone from the display, but we'll know if it's completely gone the first time we move the units.
Yep. So with this laser alignment tool, the thing that's nice about it is it's not going to let you do anything wrong. So you can see it was giving me the showing me that I had backlash, or the lasers weren't positioned properly because I had them off slightly. So it made me fix it. And that's what's nice about it. If you just follow along with this, it's very intuitive and it's very hard to make a mistake. It's going to tell you exactly what to do. So, okay, now the first thing this is going to do when we hit that blue arrow key, you're going to see it's going to go to soft foot. Because remember, we turned on soft foot on the settings, which you always want to do. You always want to check soft foot.
All right, we'll go ahead and head to soft foot.
Yep. So, real quick, basically soft foot, if we have a table or a chair, one leg shorter than the other, or if you're on an uneven surface, you kind of have that rocking motion. Same thing kind of happens with a machine. Maybe a foundation settled, maybe everything's not perfect with it. So if you have a condition where you have a soft foot on your movable machine, you go to tighten it down, you can distort it, and that's going to mess up your alignment. You're going to have a very, very difficult time getting a good alignment. You think you have everything aligned if you don't check for soft foot, then you torque the bolts down and the alignment change. So we need to take care of that first, and essentially what we're doing is we're starting with a solid flat surface to go ahead and do our alignment. So that's what we're going to do real quick. What's nice about the laser, it takes care of it for you. It tells you exactly what you need to do with the TKSA 41. Back in the old days, we'd use feeler blades, put them under the feet, figure out how many shims we need to put underneath it to take care of it, or maybe we had a dial indicator with a magnetic base. Thing you want to remember, 2 thousandths or 2 mil tolerance. So if that changes by more than 2 thousandths or more, we want to go ahead and take care of it, okay? So again, this is going to walk you through it. It's hard to mess anything up if you just follow the screen.
You'll also notice, before we get into the softfoot checking, you'll also notice shims underneath all these feet already. Joe and I had to basically shim underneath the movable unit here to get it close to being able to do any of these measurements.
Yeah, so Jim made a good point. I mean, if you walk up to a piece of equipment and you can physically see, look at the coupling and see it's misaligned very, very badly, I mean, at least take care of that first. I mean, when we use a laser, you know, we're doing precision work here. So if it's out 1/4 of an inch, you know, let's make sure we at least get it, you know, where it's reasonable, because it just makes it much easier. Last thing you want to do, especially if you're shooting any, you know, because you have to remember this laser can shoot up to about 13 feet. So if we're ridiculously, you know, misaligned, you know, you're shooting 13 feet, the laser's not even going to hit the target. So again, just make sure it's roughly in by sight
Straight
first.
edge.
Yeah, straight edge, whatever. And then then it makes it much, much easier.
All right.
So back to the soft foot, you can see the unit's going to go ahead and highlight a foot. In this case, you look at the first foot up front, they're calling it F1. I'm going to go ahead, and it's telling us to go ahead and loosen that up.
And this is a top-down view. What
Yeah,
we're seeing there on the
top-down
display
view.
is
Yep.
looking down on top of the motor.
Yeah, it's going to go ahead and highlight the foot that you want to focus on to check first. So the way that's done, if you look on the display to the right, it says to go ahead and then loosen up foot number 1, which I've done, and go ahead and hit OK. And then it's telling us to go ahead and tighten that bolt back down and
Done.
hit OK. And you can see it's saying it's got a green check mark on F1. So that's telling me I don't have a soft foot. Basically, 0.4 is 4/10,000ths of an inch. And if you look at the bottom of the display unit, our tolerance is 2 mils or 2 thousandths. So basically, if we find that we have more than 2 mils or 2 thousandths, we want to go ahead and take care of that soft foot. But again, foot number 1 was fine. It was within tolerance. We don't have to worry about that. Then you can see the unit moves to the rear foot, R1, and it says go ahead and loosen that up, which I just did. And then it says go ahead and tighten it back down and hit OK. And you know, we're 1.7 thousand. So technically we're still okay. You can see the tolerance is 2 thousandths. You know, there's nothing we can do anyway. I mean, we don't have 1.7 thousandths. We can't take out 1.7 thousandths. We can't even take out 1,000. So that's good. I mean, if it's within 2 thousandths, it's not going to cause us any issues. So now we'll go ahead and move to the front foot. On the other side, I'll go ahead and loosen that up. Then I'm going to go ahead and tighten it down. He's going to hit OK again. And that's a 1/2 thousandth or 5/10 thousandths. That's good too. Then we'll go ahead and move to the last foot, which is the rear on the same side. Go ahead and loosen that up. Jim hit OK. I'll tighten that bolt back up. Hit OK. Okay, so we're okay. I mean, the most we have is 1.7 thousandths, which is within the 2 thousandths, and the others are even less than 1,000. So we're good to go as far as not having any soft foot. And basically, what happens with the soft foot, if it is more than 2 thousandths, say it was 5 thousandths. What I want to do is that means I have to shove 5 thousandths shim in that foot. If it says 5 thousandths, I'm going to go ahead and put 5 thousandths in. and move to the next foot. So it's going to tell you what you need to do. Back in the old days, we'd use feeler blades to check for soft foot, or a magnetic base and a dial indicator, but now the laser does it all for you. So
if there was such a thing as a 1.7 millimeter shim, or I'm sorry, 1.7 mil shim, right, we could shim that right rear foot and bring it into, well, bring it to zero.
Right.
But like Joe said, you don't need to be at zero. You could chase your tail in many of these situations, right? When the tolerance is 2 mils, as long as you're within tolerances, it's not going to affect the operation.
Exactly. And when we move on to actually doing the alignment, we'll talk about that a lot too, because these tolerances are built in, and we went ahead and selected range 1, which was 0 to 1800 RPM for this, you know, that we're doing on the test rig here. And as long as we have the green check marks and we're within tolerance, we don't need to go any further. Because if you try to get it absolutely 100% perfect, it's probably never going to happen. And if it's within tolerance, you're not jeopardizing the machine in any way from an alignment perspective. So there's no need to move on and waste any more time. So
move forward.
Yep.
Okay, so when you get to this screen here, what step 1 and step 2 is basically showing here. Step 1 is if one of these positions was out of tolerance. Remember, our tolerance here is 2 mil or 2 thousandths. So if, say, this right rear foot here, R1, was 5 thousandths out, right, that showed a negative 5 thousandths, we could actually put a 5 thousandths blade in there, right? So this is saying go ahead and shim all your positions that need to be fixed, right? Shim all your positions that need to be fixed, and then recheck. So you could, if R1 here needed 5 thousandths, we could put 5 thousandths under the R1 foot back here, right? 5 thousandths blade underneath there, tighten it back down, and then we can recheck. And so what this is rechecking soft foot again. Now I've already done that, so I'm going to page through this and get through this whole process again. Sorry, so I'm going to fast forward this part of the video. And go ahead and hit next. Now it's going to ask you, do you want to check again? You can see I'm all zeros here, so there's no need to check again. So I'm going to go ahead and hit no. There we go.
And it's telling me to go ahead, and now we're going to actually check
our the units towards you.
Yep.
Right?
Now, as you can see, as I was turning it, it was highlighted. It was blue. You have that little wedge. When it turns green, that means I'm there, and I can go ahead and hit my.
Well, before we do that, also remember back in the very beginning when we went into settings, we did not select the auto, what was it called, Joe? The
auto measurement.
Auto measurement.
Right.
So we did not select that. If we had selected that, the minute the laser units, right, get into that green area and you stop moving them, it counts down with, I think, a large
3, 2, 1.
Right?
Yeah, it'll do a 3, 2, 1. It'll be right on the screen, a big 3, 2, 1. Then it'll automatically take the measurement, and then it'll instruct, it'll tell you where to move the lasers next.
So instead of me hitting this arrow right here on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, it would automatically take the measurement.
Yep.
So I'm going to go ahead and
some
hit
people
that
like
measurement.
that feature. We're just doing it manually just for.
Well, yeah, if you're by yourself, I could see where that measure, where that would come in handy. Right?
Yep, exactly. And I've used
Luckily,
it.
you have me here.
That's right. I got Jim here to press all the buttons.
All right, so he's now moved it to 9. And we'll go ahead and hit the next.
Okay.
And now we're going to roll some. I'm sorry, you moved to 12, not 9.
Yeah, I moved it to 12. Now I'm moving it to
now
the 3 o'clock position.
3 o'clock.
Yep.
All right.
And it's ready. And again, remember we only have to move this 180 degrees. Now, if you look at the screen now on the display unit, you can see it's actually telling us, where we are at the coupling. If you look at the top, it's telling us where we are horizontally, and it's telling we're off 1.4 thousandths or mils. Angular misalignment, horizontal, which is it's borderline. The squiggly lines mean borderline. We're looking for those green check marks. We're actually out 8.8 thousandths, offset or parallel misalignment. Because basically when we do alignment, we're accommodating both. We're taking care of angular misalignment and parallel or offset misalignment. The laser does both of them at once, so it's kind of taking care of all that for you. And then we move the vertical, which we always have to do our vertical adjustments first because, we get our elevation, we get our vertical, then we can go ahead and do our horizontal. If we did our horizontal first, then did our vertical, because we moved, we're always going to have to go back to our horizontal. Yep. So we always do vertical first. And that's how the machine functions and what it goes to. So
go ahead.
you can see,
Next.
so yeah, so we'll go ahead and hit the blue arrow key. And it's telling me to either turn it to 12 o'clock or 6 o'clock.
Yeah, so you can see here 12 or 6.
Yep, so we can go ahead and take care of our vertical.
Next.
Yeah, the next, and it's going to tell us exactly what to do.
Measurement. There we go.
There we go. As you can see, it's telling us that we want to add 6.7 to the front, okay, thousandths. Again, that's both front feet. And take out 0.8 or 0.7 thousandths in the back. Well, can't do that. You can't, again, we can't take out 10 thousandths in the back. So what I'm going to do is, since it's 6.7, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and add 7 thousandths to the front foot of both of them. So I've got some shims here, and Jim can show you the shims.
I'll show you some shims real quick. Get this camera to refocus. There's a 2,000th shim there, and here's a 5,000th shim here.
Yep. So what I'm going to do is
sandwich those two together.
Yep.
To make a really nice 7,000th shim.
Yep. And I'm going to go ahead and put 7 thousandths under both front feet, and then we'll see.
You'll notice that these figures continually change as he's moving that unit around.
Yeah, again, this is live. That's another thing that's nice about this. You can see exactly what you're doing as you're lining this up. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this down. So,
Yep, basically tighten it down and let it set for a moment. Don't touch anything, don't move anything, and let it reset itself.
Yep.
Now as Joe would tell you, right, I see red arrows and numbers and think, okay, that I would really like to have that to 0. You know, I'd like to have that at 0.0, 0.0 instead of 1.7 thousandths and 1.5 thousandths off, right? We need to bring that down a hair. But Joe would redirect me to the green arrows over here on the right-hand side, that we're within tolerance, and there is no reason to go beyond that. I mean, you literally can chase your tail trying to get these perfect, right? So
exactly.
We're going to go ahead.
And you'll never get there, believe me. Years ago, when I started doing alignments, you know, you always try to get things as close as possible. But the thing you have to remember, if you have the green check marks, you're within tolerance. Again, as I said many times, very conservative tolerances. You'll never have any type of issues associated with the equipment you're lining up from misalignment, as long as you're within these tolerances. So we're good there. So then we can move on to our horizontal.
There we go.
And it's going to tell me to either turn it to the 3 or the 9 o'clock. I'll just turn it to the 3 just because.
Okay, hit next.
Yep. Okay, and now it's telling me how I want to move it. So now we're looking down on the top of it.
Down on top of the motor.
Yeah, remember we're doing horizontal, and you can see the straight line that kind of goes through.
Top down here on this unit here.
Yep, top down on the silver post. Okay, so it's telling us that we need to move 2.9 thousandths towards me in one direction in front, and 3 thousandths towards the on the back foot in the other direction. And again, on the right hand side, we can see these X marks. They're red, so we're not within tolerance. And again, this is where we're at the coupling. That's the important part. And the thing you have to remember, a lot of times people get confused. They'll look at the measurement on the feet, how far we're moving these, and depending on how that movable piece of equipment is misaligned, sometimes you look at those numbers and they can be quite large, but you're actually closer at the coupling. In this case, they're going in opposite directions, so we're actually more at the coupling. But just take those for what they are. Do what it tells you to do. Main thing is right-hand side. Once we get those green check marks at the coupling, we know we're good. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to barely loosen my base bolt here on my movable machine.
And so show them on the feet over there, right, Joe? So this front arrow, right, you've got to move that bolt towards you, right? Or that corner of that motor needs to come towards you. And this 4.5 here, 4.1 now, you'll notice these numbers are live. So as he touches and moves that with his hand, you're going to see these numbers change. So that needs to go away from him. So I'm going to go ahead, and the thing you want to remember, I'm going to get up tight against this,
And anytime, as you can see, as I turn this, it's not taking a whole lot.
Actually, they can't see, but
Yeah, they can't see.
He's moving that jack bolt in the back right corner there.
Yep. And you can see I've actually already moved it in that direction, so now I got to come back.
You are very good, Jim.
Yep.
Now he's going to move the jack bolt to bring this front back
Yep.
towards him.
I'm
Notice
getting
how
close.
the back figure changes as well.
Yep, I'm getting close.
But we're
look.
looking for green arrows. Again,
Yep.
if you try to get perfection here, you're going to go crazy.
And what you want to do, anytime you turn that screw, you move that machine a little bit, wait a couple seconds. Because it's going to take this thing a couple seconds to catch up, then give you the live measurement. So I still got to go a little bit. Give it a minute. Okay. So, see what I have? I have my green check marks. So now I'm loose. I want to tighten these bolts up. And sometimes when you tighten the bolts, it'll
You'll
move.
get some changes.
You'll get
right
some
there.
little changes. So we're good. Okay. So, all right. We got green check marks. So we can go ahead and move on
Go ahead and
to
hit next.
hit next. Yep.
Remeasure the alignment.
Absolutely. We always want to
Absolutely.
recheck it.
Yep.
Yep.
Recheck our work. So we're going to hit
Yep.
yes.
So go ahead and.
Again, he's in the arrows.
Yep.
Or in the zone, should I say. Back up to 12. In the zone. Wait for that to turn blue. You'll notice as he's moving, as we move this next one, you'll notice this box is grayed out, right? So you really can't touch it yet. Until he gets in there, the lasers are still, and now it's blue, so we're gonna hit next.
And again, this thing's not going to let you do something if it's wrong. So there we go.
Green checks, those are beautiful.
We love those green checks. Yep. So now we mentioned earlier that you can take pictures with this. It's also got a QR code reader built into it too, which is pretty cool. But we could say, okay, we're done with the job. But you got to remember, this thing can store thousands of alignments. The second part of it is you can also insert a memory stick in it if you need to store more stuff. So before the job isn't finished till we make sure we save all this stuff.
Save this, yes.
So we have this. So we can see the checkered flag here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and hit the checkered flag. And then we can go ahead and, what's that?
You move my display again, Joe.
Gosh, I'm horrible about moving Jim's
Move my
display.
display.
Sorry, Jim.
So we need to actually put in the machinery ID, right? So
Yep.
we actually called this thing earlier, we called this an SKF space. Fat fingers.
Don't feel bad. I would do the same thing.
Test rig. Report name, you can put that in there. Oh, yeah, sorry.
Go down, yep.
Report name, if you want, you can put a report name in there, right? We've got a name in
Change
here.
the name.
You can change the name.
I don't know Bill Harris. So.
Me either. Bill, your name is in here, pal. So I'm going to put Joe in here. He put me in here last time. In case any of you want to know how to spell his name. Is that right? Oh, we are, right?
You got it. Yep.
Look at that. See, that's how you spell
Yep,
Joe
see, he knows how
Esmore.
to spell my name.
To get out of this, you got to hit this little bottom down
Yep.
here to
Yep.
shorten down the key,
Yep.
right? Also, to take a photo with this unit, I'm going to go ahead and click this and let Joe take the tablet, and I'm going to go ahead and click this. But while it's initializing, you're going to see nothing here in a second, right? The lens is back here, right? Here's the bottom. Here's the lens. So I'm going to go ahead and switch cameras with this. Let Joe take a picture of that. This isn't Vogue, Joe.
I know. It's just with all the
Oh,
lights.
with the pixelation,
Yeah,
yeah.
pixelation. It was.
Sorry, I was making fun of Joe.
Anyway, because we've got lights in this room, so we can see everything.
That's the photo, right? If you needed to add a comment, actually, I do need to put something in there, don't I? I'll just put D. So we do need to give it a report name. What do we want to call this report, Joe?
I don't know, demo, whatever you want to call it.
Demo. That's a word for it. Hopefully your fingers are not as fat as mine. All right, so there it is, demo. There we go. So you do need to give it a report name.
Yep.
Now you'll notice we've got our blue arrow, we've got our picture.
Yep.
We're going to go ahead and hit the blue move on arrow.
There she is.
So this is the one where we can scroll up.
Yep.
Is that right or no?
You should be able to. Yeah, you
There
can
we go.
scroll. So everything is here. It shows all your measurements. It shows, who did it, the time, even the temperature, and it shows all your results. So that's there forever.
Yep.
So from the standpoint of me, years ago doing a lot of alignments, and some of the old lasers were 10 times what these cost today, and the reports were handwritten, but we'd always hand record everything so we had a record of it, because what's going to happen 5 years from now, somebody goes to a piece of equipment and they go to check the alignment, like, who lined this up? Well, things happen, things settle, you could have thermal expansion, all kinds of things going on. So anyway, it's always there. So it's always good to have a record. And, if it's within tolerance, it's within tolerance. You did your job.
Okay.
Very good.
Well, we'll go ahead and end this. Let me come back out of here. So to get out of this screen, right, to get back out to the main screen, hit the SKF logo here in the top left and go ahead and hit quit. Right, it gives you help, photo notes, settings, and quit. So I'm going to go ahead and quit this, get out of this report. So with the TKSA 31 and the TKSA 41, for example,
Yep.
you can export the reports, right? But you
Right.
need to start by opening up this back cover here and
Yep.
taking a memory stick
Yep.
and inserting it
Yep.
into either one of these ports,
Yep.
right? And then come back into our screen here, into our report screen,
Yep.
right? Select the report that you want to. Here's the one we just did, the demo rig,
There.
right?
See?
And there it is. So now if you'll notice across here on the bottom, we can view it, we can edit it, we can delete it. We don't want to delete it, right? So
Nope.
it's always good to have a backup,
Yep.
right? So say your customer wants, or your boss or somebody wants a copy of this report, right? You could go ahead and select USB port. It's generating a PDF.
Yep.
Sometimes that generation takes a little longer than other times. Okay, so there it is. So after it generates the PDF, right, it moves the PDF to the memory stick. So that's the only confirmation that you
Yep.
really get that
Yep.
it went to the memory stick, is that right up here on the top left of the screen, you'll see the little PDF. And now that PDF document is going to be stored on this beautiful Cooper USB stick. So memory stick, that's right. So I'm going to go ahead and to get out of this, again, hit the SKF top left, hit quit, and now we're back at our home screen.
Yep.
And at this point in time, we can go ahead and take out our USB memory stick, close up you always want to make sure you close this up, keep everything out, keep all the gunk out of that. I'll hand that off to Joe. He can go get that printed and away he goes. So there you go. Okay, I want to show you guys one more thing before we close this video. Under measurement settings, right? The video that Joe and I just showed you, that alignment we just did, our softfoot check was on, we verified alignment, our auto measurement was off, and free measurement was off. Free measurement is a different setting altogether. This unit only needs 90 degrees of movement to give you an accurate alignment from here to here, right? Why is that important? Maybe you're in a situation that this is a pump or this is some sort of a blower and there's not enough space around the shaft and around the coupling to allow you to move the unit this direction. So I'm going to quickly run through this and show you what I'm talking about. So I'm going to go ahead back out of here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and say new alignment. It's asking me for that A dimension, right? Just like before, my A dimension is 7.5. Go ahead and type in my dimension, 7.5. You can leave it at 7.5. I always like to add 0. Go ahead and hit the next arrow, right? This is automatically defaulting to half that distance. So I am going to say it is 3.75 versus 3.8, just to be a little more accurate. Because again, this D dimension is assuming that our laser heads are evenly spaced from the center of our coupling. It's assuming that we're halfway. I always prefer to measure that and input that data here into D. Go ahead and hit the next. That one I believe was 1.75 based off of my earlier reading. And then hit the next arrow for C. That is 3.25. I've done enough of these on this to know that is 3.25. I know I don't have softfoot on this, so I'm going to go ahead and skip that, or when we get to that point. Speed range, 1800 RPMs, just like Joe and I did, so we're going to select 1. There we go. And I'm going to hit the next arrow. So my laser heads are at 12 o'clock position, which they are. It's telling me to be up in that 12 o'clock position. You can clearly see they're up there in that range. So I'm going to hit next. It's going to prompt me for softfoot. Because I did not skip this, you're gonna have to bear with me here. Okay, so we're now at this position here. You can clearly see I have no deviations. My tolerance is 2 mil or 2 thousandths. And when we go ahead and hit the next arrow button here, right, you'll see this pop up. It's telling me to first shim, correct my saw foot, and then 2, recheck it. Right? I don't have a saw foot. Clearly there is no deviations here. So I'm going to go ahead and just skip that by hitting the next arrow. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next just to show you free measurement. Right? So now you can clearly see on the screen, right? I have a 360-degree circle here. My laser heads are currently at the 12 o'clock position. This TKSA 41 only requires 90-degree movement, right, to take a measurement. So I'm going to go ahead and hit next. It's taking a measurement up here at 12 o'clock position. It's telling me to turn either direction, right? You notice that red arrow, it's pointing that way or that way. So I can turn these units this way, away from me, or I can turn these units to me. I'm gonna turn them slightly to here, just until that turns green again, right? Enough of a movement to cause, there we go, right? So gonna hit next arrow. Measurement in progress. Now, back down here, again, watch that blue screen. I'm just going to turn these down to a point where I can catch green. Once I catch green there, I can take my last reading. Right there. Okay. And hit next. Right, so that is free measurement. Don't have auto countdown, but it is free measurement. And so you literally, I went from 12 o'clock to down to this position here, so roughly 90 degrees, and I could do my alignment based off of those 3 readings when you're in a situation where you cannot rotate 180 degrees, so 90-degree minimum. All right, one more thing, laser heads, how to power them down. You'll notice this one is currently blinking blue to let you know it's connected to the Bluetooth is on. All you do is press and hold this red button. You'll watch that blue light turn red. Like that, let it go, and the unit powers down. So it's the same thing over here, turn it to red, let it go, powers down. That's how you shut the laser heads off. Hey, apologies again for the length of this video. We hope you found it useful. We try to make it as thorough as possible to answer as many questions as possible. A special thanks to Joe Esmore again for his help with this video, but most importantly, thank you for your business.